separate themselves a little bit. We got some players that are really struggling. We got some players that are looking like a lock for top 4, though. We'll take a look at the stats in the moment. But Frodan, you were watching that last game. What did you think of that as we check out the stats? Anything stand out to you in that last game?
That we finally see Reroll live up to the destiny, and at least from a one cost perspective, I guess you could argue Zed is a reroll composition, although we've seen Zed not required to get a 3-star in order to win, but finally able to take a lobby. And reroll isn't as popular again as we kind of anticipated it. I think there's like 7 or 8 different people who've been rerolling so far out of the 24 possible slots. But still, it's effective, and when you pick your spots, it can definitely be exactly the ticket that you need to top 4.
Yeah. Well, Khroen, it looks like players like Hobos and Shuram need something like 2 first places to really even be in contention. It's looking rough for them. Meanwhile, for players like Robinsongs, Casey, Numano, Spencer, still very much on the bubble. Could go up, could go down. And with 2 games remaining, even players like Bertosaurus and Grand Vice are not invulnerable. So this lobby is still wide open. But if you had to pick right now, with only 2 games to go, who do you think is going to be number 1? I'm going to ask you to predict it.
I mean, with how the trend's been going, I can't discount Bert. Bert's looking like they're gonna beat number 1. Of course, still 2 games to go, but that will be my prediction.
All right. Well, you and Frodan enjoy this one. I will catch you guys after the game.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe. We're going to go into game number 4. And this one is really crucial. Remember, we're playing 5 lobbies. Today, we've been doing 6 per day up until this point. And this is basically, for some people, their final opportunity to put themselves in that position in order to make it to top 4, as well as the prize money standings as well. Even within top 4, there's money to be fought for. So let's go ahead and hop on board with Casey to start things off as we are scouting around the lobby. Is there anything in particular that you've been noticing, Khroen, that has been standing out in terms of today outside of some of the rerolls that we've been seeing?
Outside of some of the reroll, I've definitely been kind of focusing on that, but I think as well there's been a decent amount of just like mid-game aggression. Again, going back to that concept of 3-2 rolling down to 20 or 30 gold. The players who aren't re-rolling are generally following that track unless they're very, very much too strong and don't need to do that. Players like GVA, like KC, as well as some others have still been doing that here.
Oh, maybe it's Numano's time to take a crack at the Baki Kong.
Sell the mid, buy the Wukong. No.
He has the Ruined Hurricane already prepared to go with the bow and the cloak.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it. And he says, you know what? Maybe, a lot of players sometimes in this situation say, maybe if I get the gold, or actually he will get the gold because he has 3 components on his bench and maximum that you can get right now before stage 2 begins. And so perhaps in his mind, he says, you know what? I'll consider it.
Okay.
And buy Kong later. And now we get to see another person consider it as part of the repertoire. And what's really funny about it is that I'm not sure if every player going into today was thinking about if they would consider Wukong, but after watching the results from Bert, I think every player in the lobby has to be mindful of it.
Okay.
Here. What do you think?
Yeah,
Khroen?
sells at levels. I suppose with Numano being in the bottom 4 right now, having already played 2 reroll games that they were duelists, doesn't really want to play that volatile style anymore. And I think I like this pivot coming from Numano here. I think Numano plays very well with win streaking early, playing a strong board, and finding other units to utilize as carries with strong pivots into the mid game. It's a new meta here in 4.5. We've seen it grow and shift throughout today. Just going to Numano's in general play style that I've seen, casting him week by week, I'm a fan of this decision. Also, keeping in mind the not purchasing the Wukong right away, if he wanted to go to that Wukong reroll route, actually could have gotten punished and gotten a Nico and 2 gold, so not able to purchase it. Just something to keep in mind there. Did end up getting 6 gold and buying it, however, and looking on over to GV8 has a Wukong chosen as well. So many of them running around here bonking people.
Right. And so we're taking a look at just like, how the early game is shaping up. Chosen Fiora, on the side of Robin's songs and has been really powerful. But the chosen Diana's is probably the most scary early, given that Diana is an established unit that you can choose to 3-star and push. But at the same time, it seems like almost everybody has their chosens. At the moment, I don't know if we've scouted anybody who doesn't really have that chosen, and they're like completely open forwarding and trying to intentionally lose streak to get those components early on. And so everyone's fairly competitive, and that also makes it a dynamic where if you choose to reroll, it actually makes other people's rerolls better, which is actually
Yep.
kind of funny because you end up thinning the pool by pulling out more one cost champions out. So I wonder if that dynamic is going to come to play at all in this lobby.
Oh, definitely. I think it's already really come into play throughout the whole weekend, but it's a great point to bring up there, Frodan. 29 one cost units of each specific one is in the pool. So naturally, when you're taking a lot of them out of the pool, it makes it easier for other people to find the ones that they're looking for. Assuming it's going to be a different champion, say like if there's someone going, Nasus, Wukong, and Italy, they're all going to be benefiting each other in that regard there. So definitely a good thing to keep note of. And part of the reason why we do see so much success in the real compositions. If there's only one player going for them in every single game, those results would be a lot more volatile than they already sometimes are right now.
Yep, very much so. And you can see that this chosen Fiora doing a great job being a solo tank, but the back line is just not really much to consider. So GV8 off to a nice miniature win streak here. Not on fire just yet. Need to get 4 in a row, but he's the only player that has 100 HP going into the carousel, and a player almost all too familiar
Yeah.
being at the very bottom of the carousel is Spencer. But there was a 3-way tie for the carousel priority at 86 life, and looks like Spencer was the odd man out.
Yeah, unfortunate to be the odd man out in that scenario. Scouting around, looking at all the chosens, there's a couple of Dianas, a Nidalee, a Fiora, a bunch of one costs going around here. But we'll see. Yeah, Spencer. Okay, Spencer's rolling with the Yasuo. Already has 5 Yasuos, 4 Fioras, and this looks very committal. Grabs the sword as well. We're already oh, okay. So grabbing yet another
Oh,
Yasuo in that shop, loaded dice and another sword. This is the dream scenario, I think, here for Spencer. We could maybe even see the Yasuo 3 as fast as now. And Spencer's thinking about pressing that loaded dice, does do it, and we see the Yasuo 3 already.
oh gosh, this is exactly what loaded dice does. It's so powerful when you're able to get that going early, and you have Yasuo 3 at 2-5. Completely unnatural, but at the same time, this is a very, very dominant start for Spencer. And that's exactly what you need to be doing with loaded dice. Because at
Oh,
level
yeah.
4, you get 5% odds and you're choosing duelists, you're very, very likely to get those Yasuos and those Fioras. And on the flip side, earlier this weekend, we saw someone get 3, I think 4 Callistas in the same shop, and they
Yeah.
used die, and they didn't get the Yasuo, which just goes to show you the improbability of what we saw back then. Because this is a much more expected result.
Yeah, honestly, that fight that was a little bit close. The Wukong tanked the Yasuo for way longer than I was expecting, but Yasuo 3 pre-Krugs, that goes to show you the power of the loaded dice there, and it really feels good when it works out. I like Hobos selling the Diana there, putting items on a Rakan too. That's a very early Rakan too in this game here. Doesn't have any synergies on board yet though.
Yeah, he had a Gunblade, and I kind of anticipated him to maybe lean into the Diana reroll at that point, but he
Yeah.
says he doesn't feel confident in it. But for Spencer, I think it made sense because he was losing a lot and he wanted to turn it around, and he has 6 Yasuos already. When you have 4, that puts you a little bit in that weird territory where you don't know if you want to use it immediately
Yeah.
because it might sack your early eco, and you can afford to lose a couple of rounds. But so I think in Spencer's case, it was very unique. I don't know if you're always supposed to jam it right there and then, as you can see, Hobo chose not to.
Yeah, Hobos did notably as well already purchase XP earlier on into the game, so now will naturally level to 5 on Krugs. If you don't purchase any XP, you would still be 4 away at this point. But that, because of the leveling up, is a Slayer chosen Darius. Already has an Annie for fortune potential and has a Katarina in the shop. I would, yeah, definitely gonna see Fortune here. And with a Gunblade you can put on the Darius, this is a huge momentum shift and power spike for I Like Hobos.
Oh, this is going to be really exciting to watch. Back when we saw Darius in the form of set three Darius with his guillotine casting down, he found another cat, by the way. Gunblade was considered one of the
Oof.
most important items for him, just so that he can continue to sustain himself as he continues to dunk throughout the rest of the battle. So I'm excited to see if maybe he can find a way to snowball this into a stage three, little advantage over the rest of the lobby.
I think so. I think a bunch of gold is going to start to be had here. Even keeping the Zaya, because you have the Rakan as well. Just need one more Elderwood to get that buff online. It is a 4-cost unit, so the committal for gold is there. But I think you're not going to be too worried if you are hobos because you're going to be generating gold probably every round.
Oh, yeah.
Numano, though, leveling to 6 on 3-1 to protect the win streak. Fortunately for hobos, though, does not run into Numano, but still does run into a
Okay.
Yasuo 3, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty difficult board, but at least maybe he can still get a couple of kills. No, the Darius turns around and immediately targets the Yasuo.
Oh.
He does get the elimination on it, and now Rakan disarmed the remaining units. Is he able to get this win? It's very close.
Feathers fly? And they do.
Nice.
Holy. The
That's
Keeper
really
Elderwood
big.
pair there. Yeah, really, really worked well. The Darius would have died if Yasuo had gotten one more auto, but the Rakan got the disarm, dashed through, and that's what made the difference there in that fight.
That's right. Does have the ability to pick up this Tom Kench and even pad a little bit of that brawler stats instead of say Annie. But I think
Yeah.
feels okay with this for now and can continue to ride this wave. And it's exciting to see the fortune really pay off and not be a detriment. A lot of times when you put in fortune, you anticipate losing, but he did get that natural level advantage because Spencer did not choose to go to 5 despite having Yasuo's. And I think that's because he has so many Fioras. He might want to just reroll for that as well. Another round going up against Numano. This time, Numano has the Deathblade and the Ruinous Hurricane ready for Olaf. And this Darius refuses to die. He's going to go for a reset, gets it, and it's a little bit early before NBA All-Star Weekend, but the dunk contest has started, Khroen, as we get the Darius with the slams and the carry and the extra gold.
Oh man, it makes me want to just watch like gold pop out of there for pirates, but space pirates we don't have that anymore. But still gonna be earning gold because of that fortune. And yeah, these dunks from the Darius is so huge. Talking about getting that chosen as fast as hobos did, it's really really putting on work. And the Rakan's like kind of the other MVP, maybe even the MVP of that board there. But moving on over to Bertosaurus with all of these brawlers. Maybe needs a Shyvana though to round it out, get that $6 buff online, and actually have some damage.
Yeah, this looks to me like Bert rolled all the way down to 6, except for
Yep.
about 10 gold, and didn't find a carry for these items. He actually has every single offensive item in the game.
Yeah, true.
Used in any combination. And you're telling me that he can't find something playable. It's not that he doesn't have anything playable off these components, just that he doesn't know what direction he wants to take it in just yet. And so he's in a situation where maybe it's actually the carousel that gives him direction. If he picks up, say this Talon, for example, maybe he goes that way. Maybe he just picks up
I
this
think
bow and
it's
play.
Shyvana. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think this is really, really necessary and really good, actually. With the
Mhm.
Shyvana on the carousel, with a cloak specifically, you can make Runems, you can make Hand of Justice, items that we've seen be popular on Shyvana nowadays, and this is the direction you need. Bertosaurus was really struggling. You never want to be in the scenario where you're holding 5 components on the bench and you're bottom 2 in HP in the lobby. So Bert definitely breathing a sigh of relief now having this. Can put it in over the Mystic buff and probably gonna be Runeans and Hodge right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had missed the Shyvana on the carousel. Great spot there, Khroen, and that's exactly what you need. 8 brawlers is a lot of times what you see on some of those comp charts, but you could totally get away with playing 6 because the jump from 4 to 6 is very significant in terms of the damage. For
Yeah.
people who aren't familiar, for set 4.5, brawlers got a little bit of a buff. They actually get attack damage now just for amassing them. Similar to Vanguards. Vanguards now also give magic resistance, which is partially why I think that Wukong reroll has actually gotten a lot more legs, because we kind of forget a little bit that Vanguards are almost like their own mystics in a way.
Definitely. It is going to be very compelling now with that in mind to go more compositions based on, going 6 or 8 brawlers or going 6 or sometimes even 8 vanguards. Usually don't see 8 vanguards, however, because 6 is still plenty. Moving on over to Robin's songs here with an RFC on the Callista, some duelists, but probably just going to jam levels and probably pivot to something else down the line, still holding the loaded dice on the bench here. This could go into a few different compositions, so I think Robin's actually kind of flexible here. Still middle of the pack in HP, so not too worried.
Yep. Could continue to just play this board, and if he's able to 2-star everything, I believe Duelist is reliable enough for you to go for a fast 8, but you do need to have those 2 stars a little bit earlier right now, and he does not. He's playing 1 stars with the Chosen Fiora. But he has pretty good items for Kale. He has the ability to use the rapid fire cannon. Could end up even just playing a Talon-based build. He would need maybe a sword or two in order to really make that more viable, because RFC is not always the best item that you can have on a unit like Talon. So we'll see what he ends up going. And of course, if he's able to find good tempo, maybe he just ends up finding an early Samira and leans more in that direction. We'll find out. But now we're getting into stage 4. We're watching how the boards are shaping up. Spencer once more finding that early 3-star, and it seems like he hasn't lost since. What a roller coaster it must be for Spencer, because he's kind of been like a 1st or 8th gamer today.
Very much so. That must be stressful, honestly. I think about back to when I competed in a bunch of TFT tournaments. You want to, at least I want to be very consistent in placements. Top 4s, I feel good. Going from 1st to 8th, like that's just such a mental roller coaster that you're on there. But hey, Spencer's in for the ride. Getting that early ASO means that it's likely to jump up to another 1st. I'm really curious to see what Robin Songs decides to do with this roll down, however. Finding some Chosens, but not wanting to commit to them. Morgana and Talon are very good given the items, at least with the Morellos. Again, with the Talon, you might need a bit more swords, but now Kale is going to be on the board, and Executioner even with the Kindred. I'm going to take it out because it is only tier 1. Mystics now achieve with that Yuumi instead.
Yeah, and so he does find the KO. You can see that he ignored the opportunity to go for a Kali. We've seen some pivots into that, and he had the rapid fire cannon and a tier with a sword. So he did have the option to, but I think maybe in Robin's mind, he doesn't have the time in order to get there. Sometimes you need to find that direction a lot earlier, so you're rolling less. And his board is so far removed from assassins that even though he had a Talon, he's missing too many other components in order to make that assassin's build a thing. So Robin very likely not done rolling at this stage. And he's going to go ahead and dip deeper into his cash reserves in order to bail himself out here, because his board looks very fragile.
Okay, that's a huge pickup there. 2 Morganas in 1 roll. Kind of needed to hit that to stabilize in this game. Still probably needing more though. And yeah, okay, does use the loaded dice to get a Kale pair, but a pair is not going to be the thing that gives you more power right now, unfortunately. Really needs to hit that tier 2. Going up against KC with a really strong Diana, but Diana's kind of the only thing that KC has going on for him right now. A lot of other units are tier 1 on that board.
Look at that. Irelia basically stunning all of the assassins for a little bit of time. And I wonder if that's just enough, but it doesn't look like it here, as the Diana 3 is just too powerful. And Robin is continuing the free fall, but so are some of the other players. Bert is taking some losses. Let's actually check on board with KC as well, see if he can ride this momentum just for a little bit. We talked about the power of the assassin build. That could also factor into Robin's equation. When you know that other people are playing assassins, that's just going to make it more contested, and you don't want to play these more these very niche comps that it doesn't have as much of a power spike, and you're being contested on it. That does sound like a recipe for disaster. And so Casey is low on HP. Is this the charge that he needs in order to get back in contention for top 4?
It's definitely possible on the back of this Diana, going up against Alec Hobos, who is actually still on that Darius Chosen, now with a jeweled gauntlet. And it looks like, looking at Hobos' bench there, it is an Elderwood pivot at some point. Hobos looking for that fast 8. And Darius even getting the dunks off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Gunblade doing the work right there.
Gunmay, are you watching?
True.
Gunmay, a Swedish player who's known to have a unnatural love for testosterone-filled champions like Olaf and Darius. It is absolutely marvelous to watch Darius come down and bring down the thunder like that. It was fantastic. But flashiness aside, I do wonder how long Hobos can ride that Darius. Casey is kind of like still reeling. He's like, "Wait, did that Darius just do that to me? What's that?"
Uh, It feels so bad to lose on the other half of that, especially when you have a unit as strong as Diana 3, losing to just an item holder. Like the Darius isn't going to be there forever. It's just an item holder, but your main, thing that you're going to take to the end game that is tier 3 loses to it. Bit unfortunate there, but I imagine Ali Kobos will go 8 either right now or on 5-1.
Ooh.
Actually curious because when he does go to 8, I want to check out that roll down, but it looks like it might be 5-1 instead. Speaking of Akali, Grand Vice is going to be the one committing to that, it looks like, with
Right.
5 assassins and all 4 ninjas. No spirits, though, which is kind of strange given the fact that there is also assassins here.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense of why Robin skipped over it too, because he had known it. We don't have a spectator mode. We're kind of watching exactly the same feed that you have. So this is a reveal to us to show the direction that GV8 has at the moment. And with 2 of the best items for Akali with Rapid Fire Cannon and Infinity Edge, the last item is pretty flex. There's actually a lot of debate whether or not blue buff is really core and important on Akali. It's just nice because she has what feels like permanent uptime on her ability, since her mana requirements is 20 and blue buff said it's a 20. So, I wonder where this Dragon Claw goes. We've actually seen Dragon Claw on carries a lot in set 4.5 to prevent really fast burst and nukes to wipe them out. And Sword is fragile. It doesn't have, it's a completely glass cannon, has no real frontliner. Your only tanky unit is Shen. It's a 1-star. You have no Laka, the Iron Solari. That Shen 2 is very nice, and I do wonder from GV8, how is he going to find a way to stabilize? Because it does seem like he's been losing the majority of stage 4 here.
Yeah, only 1 win so far. The Dragon's Claw going on perhaps the Shen right now is going to be the tankiest, most frontline unit here. And I mean, Spencer still on a win streak, 82 HP. I can't see the Akali really stepping to this Yasuo, but maybe if it gets stunned out, speaking too soon, and Spencer's win streak comes to an end, GV8's Akali putting in work.
That's right. So GV8 and stage 4 right in the middle of the pack. He is a player that's protecting his lead. He is second place behind Bert at 20 points. This looks like a really stable way. If you can even just end in 5th place for the last 2 lobbies, I'm pretty sure that should be enough to guarantee him the top 4 spot. But the math is a little complicated because it kind of depends on how well the rest of the lobby does. If Spencer ends with 2 first, for example, he moves everybody else down, and it looks like he's have to potentially do exactly that. So we shall see. Khroen, is there a player that you want to hop onto right now? Because I do feel like we're coming to a really important moment in the game right now.
Yeah, an important moment for Ile Kobos. It's that 5-1, I think, going to level 8. Rolling. Okay, actually has already started rolling a little bit, but let's see if the Aurelian Souls are able to be found here. There is a Xayah on the board. Deathblade, Hand of Justice, that is important. The rolls are coming through. A Keeper chosen Xayah, maybe attempting to be bought here, seeing as the one on board is only a tier 1. We'll sell that, transfer the items over. There is, however, no Aurelian Soul yet, so these items like Gunblade and that Jeweled Gauntlet are probably just going to ride the bench. Maybe that Annie, because Annie will be sold, I think, for the Aurelian Soul once that is found.
Yeah, it's tough because he also has 7 Vagars. I mean, at what point do you just say, I'm playing Vagar 3 instead, right? And I think it's because of the lack of tiers to help really make Vagar super powerful, and the fact that he gave his Hand of Justice to say the Xayah instead. He still has options. He could sell that Xayah, keep rolling, try to find Aurelian Soul, and go from there. But then he has no more Xayahs because he sold the other one to get the items off. Finds Aurelian Soul, and I kind of wonder how he's going to go about for the rest of this turn here.
Yeah. Okay. Vagar in the shop here. Spots it, buys it. Still, I think should roll probably down to 0 here and gets rewarded. Finds the Vagar 3. Do you still commit items to the Aurelian Soul? Hobos is thinking about it, but may actually just say nope. Vigar here, take them, but he might struggle with no mana items, however. Have to see how it goes.
Yeah, the carousel could potentially provide that out, but I think we just want raw power. Aurelion Sol 1 was a nerf candidate for 11.2's B patch that happened a few days ago.
Yeah.
And so now you kind of recognize that Vhagar is probably your carry, and you're going to need to find a really good item off the carousel. And Spencer is just applying so much pressure. Bert takes the 8th place in this lobby. All of a sudden, it's wide open, Khroen. The number 1 point leader going into the 4th lobby has just taken the bottom of the standings.
That has huge implications moving forward. I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing how the point standings shape up after this game, but we still got 7 players left, and they're all going to be fighting for higher placements here. I like Hobos on 0 gold does hit the Aatrox 2 for the front line. It doesn't really have any synergies, however. No Vanguard, no Cultist to complement it. Is really just there to hold the Zephyr for now. Can Vigar do any work, though? Halleck Hobo's on a 3-loss streak. This Vigar looks really strong, but needs to get some ultimates off to actually carry.
Yeah, there's not a lot of trait synergy, but there's a lot of ability synergy. You know, you have Aatrox pulling in units to clump them up so that Aurelion Sol can smash them down. But, you know, it's not Aurelion Sol that's the carry. It is Vhagar who's trying to stabilize and looks like he's able to get that last shot and power himself up. Casey is the next player to go down, which means that it is Numanu and Robin as the players who are trying to fight for an entry into top 4.
Definitely. And Numano is, coming to this game being in 5th place. So a lot riding on this game and then into the next. Numano has a very strong composition, it looks like, however. There is an Olaf 2 with at least 2 really good items. I didn't get a chance to see the 3rd one yet, but a Tryndamere as well. Those Slayers are going to be online. And yeah, okay, it is perfect item Olaf. Between Deathblade, Runans, and GA, you can't ask for anything better there. Thieves' Gloves on the Tryndamere. It's going to be AP Tryndamere. I remember when that was a thing in Summoner's Rift for a while. That AP Trynd kind of giving me flashbacks.
Where'd you find my top laner?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. You can see that Spencer, by the way, level 8, 50 gold. He's going for a fast 9, I think. I'm not even sure at this point because we haven't been catching up with him since he's been so far ahead. We'll check with him in a little bit of time, but I do want to see if Numano can pull himself back into contention. He's been as steady as a rock over the course of the past couple days, but it has not been the smoothest of sailings from the first few lobbies. This is a pretty powerful board of hobos that's all stacked up and clumped, which is both a good and a bad thing. It's good for him because it creates his AoE, but it's bad because it makes his units clump, which is a little bit easier to hit. But the good news is that Aurelion Sol is not the one that's carried and stacked. So he's able to chop through and deal big damage to hobos and move up in the standings.
Speaking of that composition being clumped, Numano had the Shroud and hit literally every single unit on Hobo's board there. That is the most Shroud value that you can ask for, and a major reason why Numano won that round is going to be repositioning it, of course, trying to place it well against other players, and recognizing a lot of players on the right-hand side here. So moving the Sejuani to there, still scouting. It says, oh, people are moving. Want to probably move it back, and does just that. So great awareness there from Numano.
Excellent, using the 1-3 or the QR scout, but he gets into Shuram, who doesn't have the units moved whatsoever. Kind of some galactic brain action going on, seeing everyone else move, choosing not to move himself and put him in that position. But does it even really matter? Because Olaf is at full stacks with Deathblade, 200 extra attack damage per cleave that he's able to attach on top of the Runa's Hurricane. And Shuram taking big damage with 50 gold. Is Shuram also aiming for a fast 9? I wish we had their POV pulled up so we can look, because I do not see fast 9 gambles pay off very often. And when they do, they are really cool to watch. But I guess the best thing to do is just watch Spencer, see if he can go for this fast 9 and pay off here.
Definitely. Quickly want to note that Numano did get a Zeeks off of this neutral round. Going to put that on the Irelia and buff up the Tryndamere and Olaf. So that Olaf destruction is going to be even more powerful moving forward. However, Spencer here has fast 9. And look at the gold. Spencer level 9, still 50 gold, nearly to his name. Now going to be 50. And okay, what improvements, I think, is the question that Spencer can make to the comp? There's 3 items on the bench. I believe the Fiora was item carrying some of them, got sold, and now going to be finding that Swain too, it looks like. And that's going to be a locket holder, assuredly. Perhaps a Hodge on the Yone, I would surmise. Still needs a Shen upgrade. Oh, Samira right there. Okay, this composition is starting to reach critical mass here. Even keeping the Enlightened in, deciding to drop it because you want 3 Slayer in if you have a Samira too. That's huge.
Yes, absolutely. At this point, you can see that Spencer is just putting every quality legendary into his board here. It does not matter about the duelist, right? When you play reroll duelist, you're kind of thinking about how many duelists can I fit in to try to get maximum attack speed. In reality, all these legendaries when they hit 2-star had a overwhelming amount of pressure onto the board. But look at this damage coming out from the mages from I Like Hobos. Spencer isn't done transitioning just yet. He did a pretty good job getting there, but he still has to improve his board a little bit more. As Robin dips down in 6th place, Spencer trying to be the one who might be the first person that we see today be a successful Fast 9 transition off of a reroll.
Potentially. And this is very interesting. Not often will you see the duelist composition pivot this hard into legendaries, but I do think it is very interesting. I don't know if it's going to be as strong, though. People are in set 4.5 going towards just those large synergy numbers. Now, 4 duelist is back in, and I think that's kind of the break point that you want to hit. You shouldn't go too overcommittal into dropping the duelist, but 4 will buff the Yasuo up enough. You have Yone 2 now, Samira 2, Swain 2. Things are looking super solid, but still that Olaf is really, really good over the other side of the board.
Yeah, you're starting to kind of notice that there's a couple of different things at play. Spencer's spending so much time rolling that he's actually not positioning, and his opponents are getting the better of him because he's number 1 in the lobby, and a lot of people are specifically trying to gun for him. And so now when things like Shroud land onto your Zillion and all these different abilities are chaining off and you're not positioning for the optimal things, even for things like your locket value, it's definitely a tricky spot here for Spencer. And we kind of talked about, can he be a person that finds a way to stabilize off of a Fast 9 from reroll? It's a very unconventional path to go this deep into it, and it hasn't paid off so far. He might actually end up just dying here. There's a possibility that this might be his last round.
This is a comp that I definitely want to look more into depth later, analyze the decisions. But for now, going up against GV8 and getting the Yasuo Zephyr, that's a tragedy.
Oh no, the Akali has turned around the duel, and the prophecy has been foretold, and it has arrived. Spencer, who seemed to be in an unlosable spot, has died off of going 9, and there's been a lot of popular sentiment, Khroen, that Fast 9 is just a bait, and I think they just got another piece of evidence.
Yeah, at least you get a third, but that wasn't because of that specific composition at that point in the game. You had just got on a 5-loss streak. That was because of the Yasuo carrying so hard in the early and the mid game. That Yasuo, if we remember, was achieved before even the Krug round during stage 2, and it falling in third here seems like something went wrong somewhere along the line. So, gonna go more into it after the game, but for now. Numano is going to be one of the last 2 remaining versus GV8. And still that Olaf, it's super strong. Definitely going to look for a good Shroud here. However, GV8's Akali 3, looking to put an end to things.
Yeah, Numano has 2 Shrouds, everything fully backlined. Trying to anticipate the assassins. This is the way you fight against assassins. You know they're going to jump to the back line, so just meet them head on. But that Akali is a force to be reckoned with, coming down and immediately sniping the first half of Olaf. But that's not going to be enough because the damage has fallen, which means that Numano will get this win. Now, GV8 is healthy enough to survive both of these hits, and we might be able to go to the forbidden stage number 7, Khroen. We actually haven't been able to see much of that at all on broadcast. Every stage 7 game seems to be happening off stream for the first 2 days of competition. So let's see if we can get there.
Definitely. The key item there that let Numano win was GA. GA to reset the aggro, let Olaf revive and come back in. But now the key thing might be the Tryndamere Thieves Gloves roll, as that's a Deathblade and a Zeke's. Zeke's to perhaps buff up the Olaf even more and provide some more damage for himself. And yeah, the repositioning comes through. Can Numano do it again?
Oh, but the snipe on the Olaf with the Zephyr, GVA hunted. He said, you know what? Pike positioning, be damned. I'm going to go ahead and get the guaranteed liftoff so I can get a head start. And that might have been the entire thing that he needed here as GV8 has to deal with the Olaf. The Olaf wakes up and the Slayer buff is too good. He heals back Olaf. And that immediate comeback here from Numano has given him the chance that he needed because he knows exactly what GV8's up to. However, does the item change the equation here?
Item is Frozen Heart for Numano. Not sure what it was on GV8 side, but we'll see here shortly. I want to quickly note in that fight, it came down to Pike. As soon as Olaf was rezzing from the GA state, Pike went across and stunned the Akali plus the Talon. Olaf rezzed and was able to take them out there. So, like, it's some great team fighting here in these TFT boards that's happening. It is so intense. Gets a Nico even. Can that be used to any wait, what? A double Nico?
Wait, 2 Nikos.
Numano?
What? And he gets the ability to roll for a legendary and then use the Nico on everyone he didn't hit. This is it. This is a big opportunity. Are we going to see the full comeback? He can actually play Samira over Tryndamere and get more opportunities for a different set of items on Thieves Gloves, but it looks like he's going to commit to the Zillion. Grand Vice trying to best improve his board. Looks like he hit Katarina 2. I'm not sure if that's the difference maker. The Shrouds and the Zephyrs. Looks like he sold his Zephyr in order to try to get an opportunity to place it exactly where he needs. And he doesn't get it onto the Olaf instead, and that's exactly the position that Numano was hoping for. And Olaf does get the cast, but the Akali's positioned right in front of the Olaf, and it snipes it upon the revive of the GA, and no one's challenging this Akali. Looks like Grand Vice has done it. Akali 3 Assassins is going to win Lobby 4 here in the finals of the North American qualifiers. Really exciting finish, Doa, and, you know, a lot in turns. I was not expecting those two players to be duking it out given the lead Spencer had, but boy, what a game that was.
I mean, right away you got to wonder, Samira 2 with Thieves Gloves over Tryndamere 2 with Thieves Gloves, like, do that instead of the Zillion. Would that round have ended any different? I mean, maybe he just thought he had it in the bag. He had won the last couple rounds anyway. GV8 looked like he was on the ropes, but I don't know. I personally would have leaned Samira there despite Zillion's strength. But either way, it doesn't matter. GV8 ends up getting the win, and that was a pretty exciting round. I gotta say, watching that though, I like Hobos. He played the Darius for a while. He played the Dunk Master. He swapped into a pretty strong board. He didn't end up, finishing great with it. I think he got like a 5th or something like that. He got a 5th with it. But still, it was cool to see for the mid game anyway. But what can you say? One more game to go, everybody, before we decide who is the winner here at the Cloud9 Fates NA Qualifier. We're going to take a break, and while we do that, you have one more chance to type hashtag Puma into chat if you're in the Cloud9 Twitch chat, and if you are a US resident, and if you are 18 years of age or over, you have a chance to win this $100 gift card. I'm sure a lot of you meet that criteria. It's not that hard, really. Come on. So, hashtag Puma in chat, $100 gift card could be yours if you do that. That said, Frodan, Khroen, one more break before we find out who the champion is. The rest of you at home, don't go anywhere. The Cloud9 Fates NA qualifiers will be back right after this.